Well, if we are talking about the Gulf region, how can we forget Saudi Arabia? Ladies and gentlemen, there's a fresh update from the Arab world. Gulf region where fears surrounding drones and regional escalation are growing once again. Saudi Arabia says it intercepted 3 drones that entered from Iraqi airspace. At nearly the same time, reports emerged that the drone struck a generator outside the UAE nuclear power plant in Al Dhafra. Officials say that there was no damage to the plant's inner perimeter though, and there was no radiation threat. But wait, let's pause for a second here. Any incident involving a nuclear-linked facility immediately triggers global concern because the psychological impact alone, that's massive. If we are talking about the nuclear plant, the Barakah plant, it is one of Gulf's most sensitive strategic locations. Even a nearly strike, it sends a message that critical infrastructure is increasingly exposed to the drone warfare. Here, Saudi officials say that 2 UAVs were intercepted while one reportedly impacted outside the plant area. Well, Riyadh has warned that it reserves the right to respond to any threat against its sovereignty. In the meantime, Iraq has rejected claims that its territory should be used as a launchpad for regional attacks and stressed that weapons must remain under state control. And this is the frightening reality of today's West Asia. Drones have changed the security equation altogether. They are cheap, they are difficult to track, they are capable of targeting oil sites, military bases, airports, strategic facilities with increasing precision. Traditional air defense systems, they were designed for what? For larger threats like fighter jets or ballistic missiles. But drone warfare operates very differently. It's quieter, faster, and less predictable. And this is why Gulf nations are becoming increasingly nervous. One unidentified drone crossing one border, it can suddenly create accusations, retaliation, threat, and regional instability. Well, the fear is not just the attack itself. The fear is miscalculation because in an already tense environment, one wrong assumption, it can rapidly escalate into a much larger confrontation. Now let's go from Yemen to Idaho in our next segment, where spectators at an American air show suddenly witness a terrifying military incident unfolding in real time. Thousands had gathered near Mountain Home Air Force Base for a gunfighter skies air show. Families, they were recording videos. Children were watching the military display, and then suddenly, 2 EA-18G Growler, that's an aircraft, they collided mid-air. The visuals are shocking. The aircraft appears to slam into each other before smoke begins pouring into the sky. For several seconds, panic spread through the crowd because nobody exactly knows whether the pilots managed to escape or not. And then 4 parachutes, thankfully, they became visible overhead. That moment likely prevented what could have become a national tragedy. In fact, according to reports, all 4 US Navy pilots safely ejected before the aircraft crash. Emergency crew after that rushed to the area while the base, it was placed under lockdown, and attendees, they were temporarily held inside as officials secured the scene. In the meantime, investigations are now underway just to determine exactly what went wrong here. And remember here, these are not any ordinary fighter jets that we are talking about. We are talking about EA-18G Growler. It is highly advanced electronic warfare aircraft designed to jam the enemy radar system, disrupt communication, and support military strike operation. Now, these jets, they play a very important role in modern warfare. Their pilots are among the most highly trained pilots in the United States military. And which is why this particular incident, it has raised larger concern about operational risk and pressure inside modern armed forces. Military aviation today involves complex maneuvers, advanced coordination, and constant readiness training. Even during air shows, the precision required, it is enormous. One timing error, one miscommunication breakdown, one split-second misjudgment, and disaster, it can happen instantly. And this particular incident, it also arrives during a period when the US forces are heavily engaged globally. Well, from West Asia to the Indo-Pacific, military readiness demands, they are increasing. Training cycles are intensifying, and accidents like this remind the entire world that behind every advanced weapon system, there are human beings operating under enormous pressure.